Outstanding. And we are now recording. And ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you for joining us today. Please make sure your microphones are on mute. I'm going to share my screen here for each and every one of you. We are going to discuss the Army CA program, the memorandum of agreement that's required for the CA program, as well as the application process. And we're excited to bring to you today, there's actually some new steps in the application process that you'll be doing starting on Monday when the system comes back up. So you guys will be the first group that we actually get to show this new information to. It's a it's a new way of doing things. So again, please make sure your mics are on mute, and we will get started. Again, this part of the training, we're going to go over the memorandum of agreement, the purpose, the regulation that guides the MOA, the vendor requirements, administration of the CA, installation MOAs, and signing the dotted line. This document here is provided to help give you a simple understanding of the 6 different steps within the memorandum of agreement. We know that there's a lot of legal jargon in there, so what we want to do is break it down for you, each section, and give you a general idea of what you're agreeing to and to be a part of as far as the Army CA program. By doing this, we're providing pathways for our soldiers to advance their personal education and career aspirations, making them better at the job that they're not only doing right now in the Army, but also what they will do for the civilian sector once they decide to make that transition. This helps strengthen our nation and provides well-educated citizens back into the civilian workforce on day one once they separate from the military. The Army CA program is guided by Army Regulation 621-5. That's Army Continuing Education System, dated 28 October 2019, and also the CA policy dated 10 September 2020. Below are links for both of those. This video will be made available on YouTube, so we'll send out the link to each and every one of you as well. But at any time, if you want the slides, we'll be more than happy to provide those to you as well. So let's get into some of the vendor responsibilities and requirements. First and foremost, the MOA. Make sure that you understand that this MOA is separate from the installation MOA. The installation MOA gives you the ability to come on to a post, and then you have to have a memorandum of understanding with the education office to be able to provide courses and classes on a post. This MOA that you're signing here gives you the authorization to be able to participate in the Army CA program and eventually be an approved vendor with Army CA. So make sure you understand that there's 3 different ones. Ms. Sophia Sweeney, who is our program manager, actually just created an outstanding and robust vendor training guide that's available on the Army Cool site. And that training guide will actually show you the ways that you can go through and apply for installation MOA access. Make sure that our vendors are complying with the Department of the Army's regulations, that being the MOA and the Army Regulation 621-5. Make sure that they're also following state and federal guidelines regarding distance education. Designate a point of contact, which now is available in the application, and I'll show you guys that in just a little bit. But that point of contact, that main point of contact, should be someone who you want for not only us to reach out to in the event there's something we need questions to, or your application was rejected, and sending them the reasons why, but also someone that the soldiers can reach out to so that they know this person is who I can talk to from the vendor that I want to go through, and I can get what I need to be able to submit for CA. So before recommending private student loans to the soldiers, because we know some of the courses exceed the $4,000 that the soldiers receive on an annual basis. We ask that the vendors provide a representative or financial aid advisor, someone who can provide them the appropriate counseling for the different options that they have at their disposal. So there's no special favors with the Army CA program. What are special favors? Things such as gratuity, discounts, entertainment, meals, transportation, hospitality, lodging, etc. Please make sure your mics are on mute as we're getting a little back feed there. Thank you. This is to make sure that you're in line and not providing them anything that's outside of the training that they're requesting. Now, if you're offering military discounts, we are greatly appreciative of those, and those are accepted. But again, you can't offer things like lodging, transportation, entertainment, as those are non-authorized items for members to be offered. We expect our vendors to maintain the highest level of integrity when presenting their programs and presenting their costs and presenting what's available. This includes ensuring that there is the ban of commissions, bonuses, or incentive payments for securing enrollments with the use of federal financial aid. So that's a big thing on the Army CA side, and we ask that all of our vendors adhere to that. There'll be no automatic program renewals, bundling multiple credential courses, I'll come back to that in a moment, or enrollments. Each training course will be approved by the student and the Department of the Army prior to the start of the course. What I mean by bundling multiple credentials and courses is if you have CompTIA, CompTIA A+, CompTIA Sec+, you can't put all of those in one bundle and offer them as one price, because the soldiers are only going to be able to apply for one credential type individually, so you can't put them all together. And we'll get into this a little bit later into the application. If you're offering a training bundle, i.e. you have a preparatory course, and that preparatory course includes books, includes an exam voucher, includes additional study materials, you can bundle those together, and we'll show you how you can do that here shortly once we get to the application. Make sure that you do not allow members to begin a course without payment. We will let you know that there will be times where a soldier will not be paid for it until the day of the start of the course. That's usually around when continuing resolution is going on and the budget for the year has not been released. We have had instances where we've had to pay the date of, but I will tell you that our finance team has done a phenomenal job of making sure that our soldiers are paid for well in advance. And doing the best that they can to get those out. But in those rare situations where they're unable to pay until the day of, please make sure before you allow that soldier to begin that course that you've received payment for them. All right, so prior to the enrollment, we ask that our vendors provide full disclosure of everything that you're offering, not only in your vendor application that you'll submit through Army Ignited, but also on the itemized price quote that the soldier will be requesting from you. What is the itemized price quote? Again, it's a breakdown of everything that member is supposed to be paying for. So if it's a training course, you're going to break down the cost of the course, the books, the exam voucher if available, etc., and it gives the total cost down at the bottom. Make sure it has your letterhead information on it, your business's information on there, so we know who exactly to reach out to and pay. Now, how you set up the application will be a little bit different as to how you set up the itemized price quote, and we'll go to that in the next little part of the training session. Vendors will provide all information regarding enrollments, withdrawals, cancellations, completion, failures, and billing information to the Department of the Army upon request. We will give you plenty of notice in advance of these items that we may need, but we are asking that you provide them to us electronically and in a timely manner. Per Title 20 U.S. Code Section 1232G, also known as FERPA, vendors will not release personally identifiable non-directory information, or PII, to a third party without the authorization of the soldier. A soldier must agree to the release of the information prior to approval of enrollment. So with the administration of the CA program, again, the Department of Army provides regulations. The vendors comply with these requirements, And one of the big requirements that you're required to comply with is the return of funds. So let's speak about that here for just a little bit. If a soldier withdraws from a course prior to the start date, one, do not return the funds back to the soldier. The soldier is required to send a message to us to let us know that they're seeking to withdraw at any point in time. It'll be reviewed on our end, and then once reviewed, we will contact you. Our finance team will contact you to let you know that a refund has been requested. If a soldier has begun a course, i.e., they're 2, 3 weeks into the course, an emergency happens, they have to get put on orders for some reason, they are PCS'd, anything that might be military related, we will contact you and request up to 60% of the training costs back, depending on where the member was in their course. Also, if a soldier decides they're 2, 3 weeks into a course and they decide, you know what, I don't want to do this anymore, this just isn't for me, and they don't have a valid reason for withdrawing from that course, that soldier will have to reimburse the government for the costs of that course. So that will not be put on you as the vendor. But again, that's where the soldier is required to send the information to us, send the request to us to withdraw, and then we will review it and let them know if it's valid or not valid. And if it is valid and it's for a good reason, our finance team will reach out to you to request the refund. But the cost that's charged to our soldiers will not differ or exceed the rate charged to non-military students. Again, if you are offering a military discount, that's greatly appreciated, and you can definitely do that. But we're asking that the cost does not exceed that of what you would charge non-military students to be able to sit for that course or that examination. Our vendors will provide an update on their application status, the total cost of their programs and credentials annually. We actually just completed the first one of those last week, where all of our current vendors, we went through and we allowed them the opportunity to review their applications, to make any point of contact updates, etc. And they got all of those in before the system went down. When the system comes back up on Monday, we have a few vendors left that we have to reach out to, but for the total mass, they will not be able to submit changes to their program until January, February timeframe of next year. Now, there is an exception to that. If for some reason there are new courses being implemented and added to a program, you're more than welcome to email us and let us know that these changes are coming at least 90 days prior to the implementation of it, so we can review it and give you yay or nay if you can add that program cost to it. And then if approved, you can go ahead and submit that application to us. We can review it and then reapprove it. Vendors will provide immediate notifications in the event of cancellations for either distance learning or classroom courses. Soldiers have at least 5 duty days to notify CA about the cancellation. So please, as soon as you know that a course is going to be canceled, let that soldier know so that they can do what's necessary to contact us and let us know. Vendors will not request payment of any materials or accessibility prior to confirmation of approved enrollments. What that means is you can't request from the soldier that they put down a deposit to sit for the class. That soldier reaching out to you and requesting that itemized invoice should be the interaction between the two to let you know that they are interested in taking that course. And then the payment for that course will be the final part of it to let you know that that member is secured for that seat to be able to sit for that course. So please don't ask for payments to hold a seat or anything for that soldier in advance, as they will not get reimbursed for that course. Service members come to you for services, so please make sure that we're not doing any high pressure recruitment tactics. What we mean by that is, say you're a retired military veteran and you have a retired ID card and you have access to the base. You shouldn't be going on base and reaching out to people to sell your processes, especially if you've not contacted the base education office to request permission to come on base for that purpose. Again, remember the MOAs for the installation and the MOU that's provided by the Education Office, and then the MOA with the CA program are all different processes. Make sure that you look onto the Army Cool webpage, and that website is www.armycool.com. Is it, Sophia? She may be off the call. I believe it's the.
I'll put it in the chat box. It's the for the cool site.
Yes.
Yeah, www.cool.osd.mil/Army.
Yes. So thank you for that. You'll go on to the Army Cool site, and that's where you can go and pull down the process to be able to create installation access and request installation access. See, vendor services will be made available to all eligible soldiers, federally funded DoD employees, eligible adult family members, etc. If a member is eligible to take that course and you're offering it on post, you have to offer it to not only the military service members, but the post in general if they're eligible to sit for that course. Make sure that you're providing education advisors a tentative annual schedule of course offerings, as well as instructors who meet the required criteria established by the vendor to be able to provide those courses. Make sure that's provided to that education advisor annually. Something for note, make sure that installation access is being allowed on post. Again, installation MOA allows you to provide teachings and instructions on base. The MOA for CA allows you to participate in the Army Ignited program. Make sure you inform the responsible education advisor of any on-base cancellations for classroom training. Coordinate with that education advisor for the availability of resources such as your classroom and office space, standard furnishing, repairs that need to be conducted, janitorial services, etc. And remember, at any time, DA reserves the right to disapprove installation access to any employee or agent of the vendor. In the event there's an issue with a vendor, just so you know, the Department of the Army does reserve the right to ask that member to leave the post. So the final part of the MOA, signing the MOA. There are two major parts that you need to be concerned with on the MOA that requires your immediate attention. First one is at the very top. It says this agreement is between the Department of Army headquarters, and right after "and" you need to type in your company's name. On the very bottom of the document where you would sign, you'll sign on the left-hand side. Make sure that you have the vendor name, the title, and agency. What I mean by title, it's a senior leader member of your company. So your company's president, your CEO, your owner, the director, etc. That individual needs to be the one to sign this document. If you're unable to sign it, you can have that typed in there. Please do not DocuSign, as we are unable to have our leadership sign the DocuSigned document. So again, you can type it in there, you can print it off and sign it and then scan it back into us, but do not use DocuSign. All right, so we went over the vendor memorandum of agreement, its purpose, the regulation that guides it, Army Regulation 621-5, the vendor requirements, the administration of the CA program, the installation MOA, and signing the dotted line. Before we move on to the next set of training, are there any questions from anyone out there right now?
Yeah, this is Curtis Brown with ISG. We previously had that document signed, still have a copy of it. Can I still use that document, or do I need to start this process all over again?
No, if you've already got a signed MOA in the system and the individual who signed it is still with your business, that MOA is still valid.
Okay, I'm asking as a vendor that I received an approved letter, I guess, when you guys were initially starting out. However, during the transition, I don't know if some additional rules came in, but I'm no longer an approved vendor. But I've got all the documentation to support that we were approved.
I tell you what we'll do. Let me get your the name of your company?
Okay. It's the Innovative Systems Group, short name ISG.
So if I could ask a question real quick. When you say from the beginning, are you talking about when the process was manual and you had to complete the manual application or the Excel document?
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, it goes back to the manual document. And I guess we started applying just as you started your transition from, I guess, Army Cool to what is it, the Ignite?
Right. It was Go Army Ed, and then it went to Army Ignited.
Right.
So,
Yeah, we got caught in that transition, and I don't know if we approved or we're just sort of hanging out there in space, still requiring some documents.
So if you filled out the manual or the Excel document, you will have to go back into Army Ignited if you do or don't. I mean, if you don't have an account, you have to create one. If you do, you will have to complete it in there. So all of the vendors that were approved previously through the Go Army Ed era, right? That was from 2000, I want to say it was 2019 to 2000 or January, no, I'm sorry, till July of 2020. If it was during that time frame, you were not part of Army Ignited. You were still part of the old way, right? So then we stopped doing that and advised everybody that you had to create an account in Army Ignited to continue to be an approved vendor. So if you have not done that, then it's no big deal. You can start the process in Army Ignited and get back on track.
Okay, I think I've done, actually, I know I've done the Army Ignite. I think the thing that's missing is, I think it asks for either a syllabus of my courses, and I'm actually a course away from having that portion complete. Do I then hit submit and it gets to you folks for review?
Is it something that is holding you back from actually moving forward? Or
No.
Okay, well then you can, if you don't have the syllabus, that's fine. That is totally fine. All right. And I'm assuming, and I know Russell's going to go over this, but there's a few in the application itself. He's going to tell you where, like, it asks you for certain things that you don't necessarily have to add that stuff. But if there are some areas where it requires you to upload something.
Awesome. He may very well answer my question as we go along. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, Russell. Hey, we got a couple of questions that came in. The first one is, how do we find out if we have a signed MOA or not?
So if you have previously had a signed MOA with us, or you have created an Army Ignited application previously and you didn't have one in the system, we probably emailed you quite a few times. If you do not have an MOA for your vendor organization, that's easy to do. Just let us know, shoot us an email, and we will send you out a copy so that you can get it signed and reviewed. We can also look and see if we have a copy of it in our systems. Maybe you're new to the organization, you're not sure if you already had one on file, and there may already be one there. You shoot us an email, we can check for you. If not, we'll respond back to you yes or no. And if no, we'll send you a copy of the blank MOA so you can get it signed.
All right, the next one, I'm not sure, I think for Danita, we might have already answered this, but the question was, I had previously been approved as a CA vendor. This was prior to the online application. Do I need to sign an MOA?
So yes, if you've not done an MOA previously, yes, you will need to sign a new one, and you will need to create an account in the Army Ignited system.
All right, the next one, Russell, is this is for Nellie Carlson. It says, I took over as the main POC for our company. I believe we were previously approved as a vendor, but have no access to the information. Do we start the process over?
If you do not have access to the information, i.e. you can't change the application and items in the system, what you'll need to do is create an account, an individual account for yourself on Army Ignited. When we get that request, then we will pair your information to the main information of the vendor profile. That way you'll have access to go in there and make the changes. But again, we can definitely look and see if you've already got an account on there or if it's just something that needs to be created, and we can help you walk through that process.
All right, Russell, the next one's from Amy Cook. It says, I saw my university under Army Ignited and it says we are pending. What does that mean?
So if it's at under pending status, that means that we are waiting for your application to be completed and sent to us. So you will need to, once the system comes back up on Monday, you'll need to log into Army Ignited, finish reviewing your application and submit it. That way it can be sent over to us for review.
And then I got one here from Danita Fisher. It says, if we were doing the pre-online, do we have to submit another application? What email should we use?
Say that one more time for me, Chris.
It says if they were doing the pre-online application, do we have to submit another application, and what email should they use?
If you were doing the application on Army Ignited, I see what you're saying. You were doing the process prior to us moving over to Army Ignited, the old way that it was sent in. Everything is done now on the Army Ignited site. If you need a copy of the MOA, just email us, and I'll go back here to this screen. This is our email box that you can send that request to, and we can send you the MOA. That way you can go in and sign the MOA, send it back to us, and then log into the Army Ignited site on Monday when it comes back up, and you can create your vendor profile and account.
That's it, Russell.
All right, outstanding. So we are going to transition over to the invite and the application process. And like I said previously, all of you are the first ones to get to see the new process for the creating an account. We can pull up the right one here. Slideshow, Zoom slideshow. Why is it doing anything? Give me a second here. Close both of these out. All right. That's the MOA. I can get rid of this one. All right, here we go. So this will be on the Army Ignited creating an account, the invite email that you're going to receive at the end to create at the beginning, to create an account, and the new process that's been put in place that will take effect on Monday when the system comes back up for creating that Army Ignited account. It's really cool, and we're really excited to show this to you. Again, we're going to go over the invite, creating the account, the 4 different parts of the application, keeping up with your application, and the recap. So many of you may receive a notification from a soldier that they want to use your course, but they don't see you on Army Ignited. So they'll send us an email and they'll say, hey, we don't see this vendor on Army Ignited. Could you guys add them? We will in turn send you out an email that looks exactly like the one that you see on the screen. It's going to have the information for applying for a cage code, which I'll go into in just a moment, our Q&A, and the vendor MOA as well. If you were looking to just reach out to us and have an account created, again, we'll send the same email back to you, so you'll see what to do. Of course, with the MOA, make sure that you read, sign, and return that document, as it is a mandatory requirement for participation in the Army CA program. Make sure we're not allowing our service members to pay out of pocket as much as possible. That's the ultimate goal here. So by you joining Army Ignited and making yourself available as a vendor, you provide yourself as a resource that that soldier can reach out to and get civilian industry recognized credentials and licensures to make them not only an asset while they're still serving, but once they separate from the service. Cage codes. This is a mandatory requirement to be a part of the Army CA process. It is not provided by us. You will log on to sam.gov and begin the process of getting a cage code there. Once they contact you back, and that could be anywhere from 2 weeks to a month and a half. Again, we don't have control of their process, but that's usually the time frame we've seen for them responding back to individuals and providing them with their cage code. Once you have that, then you can begin working on your application process. So you're going to navigate to the Army Ignited website, and there's your link right there, www.armyignited.com. The best browsers to use, we found, are Microsoft Edge, Firefox, and Chrome. The site does not like Internet Explorer, and some of the items it will not show on Internet Explorer. So these are the browsers that we recommend that you utilize. You'll click the Get Started button on the home page. Click Create an Account to create a login.gov account and follow the on-screen prompts. If you are a government employee, you're going to select the government employee ID for your authentication method. And if you're a non-government employee, you're going to select phone. And I'm going to show you some pictures of how all of this is going to look here on the next couple slides. If you previously have had a login.gov account, please use that account information. Don't recreate the wheel. That will help your process go that much faster. And again, when you log on to the Army Ignited page, this is what you're going to see there. The first, like I said, you're going to click on www.armyignited.com, click Create an Account. And this is what you'll see on that page. This is the login.gov information. You'll click Create an Account, enter your email address, and hit Submit. Make sure you're checking your email, as it'll come back to you with the information to show you that you've created your login.gov account. And you can confirm your email address. Once that's done, obviously the system's going to ask you to create a strong password. And again, if you are not a government employee, you'll select the phone option there to get your authentication information. It'll send you a security code via text message, and you'll put that security code in after you push send code. This will be your one-time security code validation. Yes, it will do it each time you log into the site. It does it for us as well. That way we keep the system secure. All right here. All right, so when you're looking at the login.gov part of the screen, you now have access to your account, adding the email address, editing your password if need be, and your two-factor authentication methods, either via phone number, authentication app, security key, backup codes, etc. Here's some additional resources on the how-to guide. You can also reach out to the Remedy line at 877-272-1330. They are a great point of contact to be able to answer questions for you, as well as you can use the links that are provided right there to get information on your behalf. Sophia, can you still see my screen? Or Dottie, if Sophia's already left?
Yes, I can see it.
Oh, okay. I'm in the other meeting, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all right.
I can see it too, Russell.
Okay, perfect. All right, so steps to creating that vendor account. You've already got the Army Ignited, the login and everything. You click started, you're ready to go. You're going to select the button that says request a user account. You'll see that when you log into the site. And it's going to give you a new option here that says create a case as a guest user. You'll select that item and it's going to take you to a separate website called ServiceNow. ServiceNow is a great resource that we're going to be able to use to communicate with our vendors without having to go through email. Sophia, Dottie, are you available right now? Can you see my slides still?
Yes.
I apologize. I have a 911 call coming through. Can you talk through the slides and I'll keep rolling through and I'll jump back on as soon as this call is out. I'll go ahead and go to the next slide.
Oh my gosh, where are we at?
So real quick, I'm sorry, I'm in a different meeting, but to address this specific slide, right now, this is a brand new thing that's about to take place that you all, once you do come in, will see it. But what I want you to pay attention to is the important parts of this is, again, basic information, but your steps 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, as I have them with arrows, we need specific information, right? Like, that is exact 1, 2, and 3 is how you're going to find, or that's what's going to route you to our box or to the CA team. New vendor CA or new vendor request, roles request, vendor for CA program. Okay. And then in item 4, there's no prompt to tell you what should be entered in this description. So we absolutely need the name of your institution, whether you're University of Kentucky or, sprintzeal.com, whatever it is that your institution's name is, we need the name and we also need your URL for your institution. Okay. And anything else is important. Like, for example, I'm from University of Kentucky and I've got 5 different departments. This is specific to, whatever department, right? Education or adult education, whatever. Just something specific, but the key things is the name of the institution and the URL for your institution. That is most important. Okay. And then I'm going to address this. Sorry, this other meeting's going on at the same time, but
I just jumped back on.
Okay. The thing that Mr. Brian Lewis Hardy asked, how do we handle it if we have multiple cage codes and institutions? Okay, so that is but one URL. You can still create separate, you will have to do separate applications, but that will be, you're just going to use the different cage codes. Even though it's the same URL, you will have to add or create separate accounts. Okay, back to you, Russell.
Thanks, Sophia. Thank y'all for top cover for a few minutes. I apologize about that. All right, so when notified to start the application process, enter all your information required by clicking on Start Vendor Onboarding. And this is where we're gonna get into the nuts and bolts of everything here. Again, when you log in, you'll see your name up there at the top. Also at this top location is where you can access all of your how-to guides, how to complete the application, adding training and exams, and the Help Center you can go to the Help Center by clicking on your name and then select Help Center, and that will also take you to the ServiceNow website. So you've gotten in the system, you're ready to go, you're ready to start creating that application. There are 4 major parts of that application, and that's what we're going to go over now. The first part of the vendor application is your information. It's going to be your name, your URL, your address, city, state, zip, country, and how many years you've been in operation or in business. It is mandatory that you've been in business for a minimum of 2 years to be a part of the Army CA program. There is no waiver to this process. Also, we recently added, back in January, the ability for you to add a primary vendor POC on the first part of the application. This is the individual, again, that you want for us, and not only us, but the soldier to be able to reach out to for communication and to contact. So if you submit an application and it is rejected, the email saying why it was rejected will be sent to the individual listed as the primary vendor POC. So make sure that you highlight that individual of who you want it to go to. Part 2 is the payment process. So that's going to be your federal tax ID, your cage code expiration information, the funding questions, the primary funding POC, and the alternate funding POC. If you do not put a main POC on that front part of the application, it will default to whoever the primary POC is on the payment function. You'll see that here. All right, so again, you've got that federal tax ID, the cage code expiration. Here's some mandatory questions that have to be answered in order to be able to participate with the Army CA program. The first one here is showing you that training and exams will not be paid together unless the exam is free with training. We'll show you that in the application in just a moment. The second part of it is payment will be made by a government credit card. Make sure that you accept credit cards. The payments will be made on behalf of the soldier by Access. Make sure you comply with that. And that will request a refund in the event that a soldier withdraws ahead of time, or if there is a valid reason during the course to request for the refund. And again, here you can see this is the bottom part of the screen. On the second part over here, it gives you a primary POC for payment as well as an alternate POC for payment. Part 3 is more of the information that we need from you. And the very first part of this is probably one of the most important parts that you'll see on the application. And that's that certificate of completion. You have to provide a certificate of completion. Now, what do we mean by a certificate of completion? It can be anything from an actual valid certificate that you have created on behalf of your company, or it could be an email with your information on the email to us and to the soldier stating that the individual took this course on this date and has passed or failed this course, and you can send that email to us and to the soldier. Now, the next section here, it talks about accrediting and approving authorities. This is where it is okay if you mark no to these. If you're not a part or accredited by the Department of Veterans Affairs or Department of Labor or Education, so on, it is okay if you mark no on these. That is not a showstopper for you. If you are, that's great. That helps us with some of our statistics that we do. But if not, again, it's not a showstopper for you. At the bottom of that form there, you're going to see these 3 questions here. The first one is you providing a syllabus or course list of all the courses that you're providing. You can provide that via an updated training document and add your URL. And I'll speak about the URLs again here in just a moment. Please make sure your mics are on mute as we're going through. Also, you can provide stats on students that have taken your courses and that have successfully completed them. Again, if you don't have this is okay. And provide stats of those that were hired. Again, if you don't have them, that's all right. But we do want you to make sure that your vendor URL is put in each one of those boxes. Here's why. We found out that during the application process, the application may not save correctly sometimes if those URLs are missing. So anywhere on the application, and you'll see it a little bit more on the next screens that we get into, if it says URL, please put your vendor URL in that spot. All right, part 4, it has 2 different parts to it. The first screen that you'll come to, it's going to list the training or exam name. If it is a training or exam, the associated credential that it's listed with. Mind you, this credential must be listed on the Army Cool site. Now, let me tell you here, there's a difference between Army Cool and Army CA. Army Cool is the repository for all the credentials that the soldiers are eligible for. So in essence, it is our encyclopedia that the soldiers can go to and look for all of the different certifications and licensures that they're eligible to pursue. Army CA is what they're going to go to when they're ready for the payment portion of it. However, that credential name that's an Army Cool must match up to what you're trying to list on the Army Ignited site in order for it to populate. The format, if it's online, in person, or a combination of the both. The location, and again here, you can provide your training agenda or syllabus. And here's what that looks like. Again, it gives you the option to do your format as online, in person, or it will let you do both if you provide both of those options. And you see right here under the associated credential name, there's a drop down there that you'll be able to type in what the credential is. If it's on the Army Cool site, it will populate. All right, so part 2 is where you get down to the nuts and bolts of putting in that information for what you're offering. This is where the cost type is going to be identified, if it's either an exam or training, the item name, if it's provided by you, the number or ISBN, cost, and quantity. Now, before we spoke about adding exams to trainings if it was for $0. And you'll see this in the application as I go through it here. If you have an item in your training bundle, i.e. the exam, you'll put the total cost at the very top of everything that you're listing in there. Then every item below will be marked as yes, provided by vendor, and you'll put the cost as $0. Same thing for an exam. If you provide the exam within that bundle, put the cost as $0. If you do not provide that exam, it's easier not to put the exam on your application. That lets the soldier know, one, that they need to go somewhere else and get the exam completed, and two, it helps you with getting your application process through. Next couple slides, I'm going to show.
Hey, Russell.
Go ahead.
Hey, I got a question for you. It says, if we have new courses available, how do I get them added to Army Cool?
So if you've got new courses or new credentials, certifications.
Certifications.
Okay, so if there are new certifications, if on the Army Cool site, if you hit the contact us button, it will actually give you the opportunity to submit suggestions for new credentials or licensures. Those items will be reviewed. There's no guarantee that it will show up on the site, but those items will be reviewed. A standards checklist will be sent out to the credentialing body for that certification and licensure to make sure that they meet the DoD standard. And then if approved, then they will be put onto the Army Cool site.
Russell, Curtis Brown. Hey, what if we give out vouchers for the exam? Is that consolidated in the first cost up top?
Yes. So if you do provide the voucher, and again, I'll show you here in some of the examples in just a moment, you'll put the total cost of everything on that top line where you list its training. You'll put the total cost there. So say it's $4,000 flat for everything that you're offering. Right. And then below that, you're going to list books provided by vendor. Yes, the cost $0. Exam provided by vendor, yes, cost $0, etc. And I'll show you some examples of those in just a moment here.
Awesome.
And again, we just added to this part as well, where you'll see where the URL pops up. Put your URL information everywhere it says URL. It doesn't hurt to splatter it all over the place. The more you put it out there, the more it's going to help our soldiers. You can see here, this is an example of just asking for an exam alone. So this is for the Senior Human Resources Management Certified Professional. Yes, it's provided by you. The cost is $300, and of course it has that box there now for the URL. This is the first example of a bundle. It's training, total cost is $250. The exam, yes, it's provided by the vendor, and the cost is $0. Now, if you have items that are not provided by the vendor but are required, i.e. the books, the study materials, items like that, other than the exam, you can list that as no. You can put the ISBN number for it, the cost for it, the quantity, and again, there's that URL box that'll be right below where it says number ISBN. If you say this is a book that you found on Amazon, put the URL for Amazon right there. That way the soldier knows, okay, I can click this URL and that will show me the exact cost that I need to be able to print out and send it in with my application. Here's an example of a CDL program. You see the total cost is $4,000 at the top. Books are zero because they're provided by the vendor. The Department of Transportation physical, zero because it's provided by the vendor. And the drug tests, again, it's provided by the vendor, so it's marked as yes, and the cost is zero. Now, we saw this one a lot with our private pilot's license, commercial pilot license, commercial pilot's license, and a lot of our FAA exams. So we put this one on here strictly for them to help them out because there was some confusion with the FAA check ride. It is an exam. So if your company offers that check ride as a part of the training, excellent. Mark it as yes, put the cost as zero. If you do not provide that and the soldier has to go out to another party to get that completed, again, it's a lot easier for you just not to put it on your application and let them know they need to go somewhere else to get the exam taken care of. Some important takeaways from part 4. This is probably the most difficult section that we hear from our vendors. That's the main reason why we created this training, to give you a little more in depth to what the application process looks like and how you can submit your different items. Bundling is okay for training and exams as long as the exam cost is $0.00. If you don't offer the exam, just don't put it on your application. Non-exam items such as books, study materials, practice tests, etc., that are not provided on the vendor costs can be marked with a cost associated with them. Remember, the soldiers were only allotted $4,000 per fiscal year. So we ask you to help them out by phasing the courses. And what do we mean by phasing? So if a soldier is looking to do a private pilot's license, and we know that a private pilot's license can be anywhere from $12,000 to $20,000 based on experience of the soldier. With that member only being able to receive $4,000 per year, if you just put private pilot's license and $12,000 as the cost, that soldier's only going to be able to select that once and only have $4,000 paid toward it. However, if you were to put private pilot's license phase 1, private pilot's license phase 2, etc., they can go back in the system and request those additional phases as if they were separate credentials in themselves and still have that paid for each fiscal year. So that's a way to help the soldier be able to complete that certification, as well as making sure that you haven't begun teaching a course and then all of a sudden the member's not going to be able to complete the course because they no longer have funding to do the rest of it. So it's a great way for you to help us and to help them. Keeping up with your application. Your application will be reviewed annually. We just completed this last week with the vendors that we have in the system already. We have a few vendors left that need to report into us. Hopefully they'll do that once the system comes back up on Monday. But after that, they will not be able to update their applications again until January, February timeframe of 2022. With the exception of if there are new courses that their company is bringing on and looking to offer, they can submit an email to us to let us know that they're going to be submitting those new courses. Again, you can do this through the ServiceNow opportunity that's located on the website for you to use. So that's another great resource that you can contact us and let us know about this. You're offering that new course, you send us information at least 90 days prior to implementation, and we'll respond to you back to let you know that you're good to go ahead and submit that information. And the costs on the applications are expected to match the prices on the itemized quote. So if you have updated your application and it's good to go, when you give that soldier that itemized quote, the items that are listed on there should match what you offer on the application. At the end of the day, we're providing a resource for our soldiers to make them competitive with their civilian counterparts when they decide to separate from the service. We all know that writing resumes are difficult things to do, and when you're in the military and you write a resume and you give it to a civilian provider, they have absolutely no clue what it is that we've done. They see that we've done a lot of things over the course of our career, but they just don't understand what those items are. This gives the opportunity for our soldiers to be able to submit that resume and have certified civilian industry credentials and licensures that those business partners will understand and will be looking for, and will help those soldiers hopefully land that job. At the end, we're promoting highly skilled soldiers returning back to the civilian sector once their time is up with the military to be able to meet industry level requirements on day one. So again, we went over the invite email that you'll receive, how to complete the application process, the 4 different parts of the application itself, keeping up with the application, and how you help our soldiers. And at this time, we've got about 3 minutes left before the top of the hour. If there are any questions that are coming into the box that we may be able to help answer real quick, we are ready and open for you to ask those questions.
Hey, Russell, we got one question that came in. They received a notice that their application needed reviewed. They don't have access to this as the POC has changed. They submitted a new application. It says, do I submit a request to the credentialing email address for the account?
So if you've created a new application for yourself or another individual to be a part of that, once the system comes back up, we'll be able to go in and pair your account to that main account. That way you'll be able to go in and access the application and make the changes that you need to make. But we're not going to be able to do that. We're locked out of the system just like you are until Monday when it comes back up. So we expect on Monday, as soon as the system wakes up and says ready to play ball, we will be going full tilt into the system to help out. I see that there was a question that just popped up about a template for the itemized quote. We do not have a template that we offer, but again, that could be something as simple as you sending the soldier an email saying you're looking to, with your information on it, your company's information, saying this is what you're looking to apply for. This is the soldier's name. This is the time frame that you're looking to take this course, and then a breakdown of each item within that course and the cost and the total cost at the bottom. Again, we prefer it if you can put it on a Word document, that is definitely the preferred method, but there is no specific template that we have to create that. All we ask is that you provide your vendor information, the soldier's name, the time frame that they're looking to take the course, the breakdown of everything that's included within that course, and the total cost down at the bottom. Anything else out there?
Hey, Russell, we got one more that came in that says they're school partners with the flight training affiliates that are local to where their online students live. And they want to know, would their courses that are done with this FTA contracted model be eligible for the Army CA program?
So FTA, the flight training affiliates. If you're offering courses that are affiliated with those vendors, you can create an account yourself to offer those courses. That way the soldiers know that they can take courses through you and then complete the remainder part of their training through those different affiliates. But those affiliates will also have to have accounts in Army Ignited as well. So they're not just going to be able to take a course with you and then go to someone else and have the Army pay for it. That vendor has to be in the system as well. So to answer your questions, yes, you can submit an application, you can create your courses, and then they would go to the other vendors. It said, would this be the case if the flight training is charged through our school? So if all the costs come directly to you, and then you've got a subsidiary that completes this part of it and they're contracted through you, that's fine. If all the money is going directly to you and then you dish it out from there to that partner, that's fine. You could do that. But again, you would have to create the account first to make sure that everything is listed and identified.
They said thank you.
You're very welcome.
We've got another question that says, are there any ways to advertise our programs to soldiers?
Good question. So I would highly recommend speaking to the post education officer. They can give you the ins and outs of advertising. I can also send out an email to all of you, or I can make sure Wendy sends out an email to all of you because I know she's been in contact with quite a bit of you. We'll send out the email that I have the link for this presentation on the YouTube channel, as well as the DoD guidelines for being able to use logos, insignias, etc., and some of the Q&A. We can send all of that out to you guys, as well as the slides. I saw that there was a request from Ms. Fisher to have the slides sent out. So I will get all of that together. I'll put it in an email and send it over to Wendy. That way she can forward it out to each and every one of you, and you'll have the video link for today's training session. You'll have the Q&A items. You'll have the DoD guidelines. You'll have the link for this and the slides. So yes, we will put that together and get that done for you. Is there a listing of POC? So on the Army Cool site, there is an updated list of approved vendors. Is that what you're referring to?
I guess pretty much what I'm asking is, if as a vendor, I have a question, is there someone that I can talk to regarding my issue, or do I just simply email?
You'd email it to us. Since we're all teleworking right now, we don't have direct phone lines to utilize. So you email that box and we'll get you answered as quickly as possible. As soon as our team comes in every morning, they filter out the emails to everybody. So we hit the emails pretty quickly in response to you.
Okay.
Are there any other questions out there from the field?
Yeah, I do have one last question. I did hear you talk about soldiers that complete our program. What happens in the event a soldier starts the program midway through, he quits?
He quits on his own or for a reason such as a deployment or something?
No, he walks away on his own.
Then that soldier, if they don't have a valid reason for quitting that course, that soldier is going to be responsible for paying the money back to the government, not you.
Okay, but do we need to notify you that?
Absolutely, and thank you for bringing that up. So if you have a soldier that quits because they may have a timeline where it says they have a year to complete, if you have a soldier that just decides to up and quit, please notify us as soon as you find that out. That way our team can go in and do what's necessary to start working with the soldier to either get them back in the course to complete it, or they start the reimbursement process.
Can I add to that?
Yes, ma'am.
So as far as the notification to us, if you know that they have not, they just stopped attending, it is their responsibility to notify or to request that withdrawal in Army Ignited, right? You can send us an email to the CA email box that you see on the screen and let us know that, hey, I haven't reached, or this soldier never showed up. And we're still going to wait for that soldier to do their part because it is their responsibility. They signed a statement of agreement, of understanding, stating that they would let us, that they would submit this withdrawal in Army Ignited. So that's the biggest takeaway. It is their responsibility. We do want you to let us know. But
Awesome.
if it's truly their fault, they are going to be held responsible for the total cost.
Okay, and then another follow-on question, and I had this happen. I just need to just clarification. What is the difference between the enlisted soldier and the commissioned soldier? I had a captain that wanted to come through our program and was told that he would have to sign an additional 2-year commitment with the Army in order to utilize the CA program.
Right. So enlisted soldiers, enlisted and NCO do not incur any type of service obligation, but commissioned officers, commissioned warrant officers do incur an additional service obligation. And depending on what component they come from, whether they're, active duty Army or their, reserve or National Guard. It could be between a 2 and a 4 year service obligation just for them to participate in this program. If they're requesting something that is for training, if all they're asking for is just an exam, nothing else, no books, no fees, nothing like that, then they would not incur a service obligation. But what I would tell you is if they have those types of questions, you can always refer them back to Army Cool on the credentialing assistance page itself. They can download the CA policy from there, and they can read up on what the obligation is and how they would incur that obligation.
So if I understand you correct, the captain could have taken the exam without a commitment, but
Right.
if he needed the 4 weeks of training, that's a no-go.
It's not right. He's going to incur that ADSO. Yes.
Got it. Okay. Thank you very much.
All right. Do we have any further questions? We're a few minutes over. And we
Yes, I
apologize.
have a question.
Okay.
My chat function wasn't working for whatever reason. So we offer certified lymphedema and wound training to physical therapists and occupational therapists, nurses, pretty much anyone who could work with lymphedema. And our credential stands on its own. Our exam is for our own credential. However, it does connect somewhat to the CLT LANA exam. We do not offer that particular exam because it comes through LANA, but our training does allow someone to sit for that exam. What is the best way to say that? I did link our application, our course to the CLT LANA exam, because that is something that people use our training for, is to prepare for that exam, but we do not offer the exam itself.
Okay, perfect. So again, you did right. You added it to the one that the training does apply to, and you can just put in the description box when you're describing the exam or the information, just put out there to the side. This training does go toward the COT exam. However, our company does not offer it. You will have to seek the exam from an outside vendor or something to that nature.
Okay, very good. And then is there a way to get our CLWT certification set up as its own thing, because it's being kind of recognized in the industry as its own credential?
Absolutely. So again, that's where you would go onto the Army Cool page. You would select the contact us function, and it gives you the opportunity there to choose to be able to request for new items to be added. You can put it in right there, and then it will send an email through to our team at Solid, and as well as the Joint Credentialing Council, and we'll send out the standards checklist for that to be reviewed.
If in the event we do that and we do get this approved as its own credential, will that then be able to be changed by you guys in the system?
Correct. So, and that's one of the instances you can let us know 90 days prior to implementation. You can say, hey, we've submitted this credential through. It was just approved to be added on to the cool websites. We would like to amend our application to provide for this option as well. And that's perfectly fine. We can work with you to help you get that process done.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I have 11 minutes past the hour. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us this morning. We will make this recording available on the YouTube site, and then if not sent out today, it will be sent out first thing Monday to everyone, along with the other documents that I described to you earlier. So be looking for that. We'll send this out to you. Please share it. Like the post, share it out on your Facebook sites or your business sites. That way more people know about what they have the opportunity to get into. We thank each and every one of you for being a valued partner with us and future partners with us. And thank you for what you're looking to do for our soldiers. If there's no more questions or anything, or no one who wants to hang out just a little bit after, we will stop the recording now. And we look forward to seeing you all in the application queue on Monday when the system comes back up. Thank you for all that you do. Stay ignited.